So, and is there the suggestion then that this feeling of the feet, this practice, has something to do with it?
No, but the thing is, that's what I want to say, is that's the thing that confuses me a lot, because it seems, I do those same kind, I told yesterday, same kind of things, that I'm sitting in a train listening to music, and then it seems like I am doing, listening to that voice,
practice.
and then it works, seems to work even. Seems to work, because it looks suddenly like as if there's only the voice, and that's for me it's very confusing that because it seems like as if making an effort works.
So let's be absolutely clear: no technique will produce this, and no technique will hinder it. If the tiger bites your head off, the tiger bites your head off. It doesn't matter whether you're struggling against the tiger or cooperating with the tiger, going, please, tiger, bite my head off, I'm so fed up with having a head. It makes no difference. So, I haven't heard Tony say that, but whether he was doing that or whether he wasn't is irrelevant. Nathan just got on a bicycle, and then there was no Nathan, but there was still bicycle. So this has nothing to do with, I mean, sometimes when we talk about the disappearance of the person, you know, I mean, many of us who come here, you know, I myself have spent many years doing spiritual techniques, and in spiritual techniques the person can kind of disappear in all sorts of ways, you know, because, you know, it can become translucent and thin, and so that's not what we're talking about. It's got nothing to do with special states of consciousness in which the person becomes more of an evanescent and more numbing and kind of more straight. It's got nothing to do with that. It's got nothing to do with that. That's all irrelevant. It doesn't matter how transparent the person becomes because of doing spiritual techniques. The person is still either there or not there. And when it's not there, it's incontrovertible. And then, I remember the question you were asking yesterday about it, and then those questions are not asked anymore, because it's incontrovertible. It is, if you like, as for a person, it is incontrovertible that they exist, and for somebody to sit here and say you do not exist is nonsense. And what I'm saying is that when the sense of being a person collapses, it is just as clear that there is no one as before that it was clear that there was someone. And so then those questions disappear. There's no longer any need to ask those questions because it's just obvious. So it doesn't matter whether Tony was doing a walking meditation or whether Nathan had just come out of clearing his 9th chakra. It doesn't matter. There's a man in the north of England called Mike Reeves who doesn't give talks about this because he's very shy, but he could give talks about it. He has a lovely dog, by the way. Beautiful, it's a gold retriever. He calls his dog Love in the Fur Coat. And he reports that for 20 years he practiced this very special spiritual technique he'd been given by a master. He reports that for 20 years he did this technique where he could meditate himself into bliss. Lovely. How lovely. And how completely and utterly irrelevant. Because it's a person meditating himself into bliss. So one day he came home with his shopping and he walked into his kitchen and there was no one. There's the shopping and there's the kitchen and there's no one. He says that at that point he started kissing the kitchen cupboards. He realised that he and the kitchen cupboards were one. He realised it, but there was this realisation. And it was seen that that 20 years of meditation in which he could reliably meditate himself into bliss was completely irrelevant. Who cares? Bliss? Who cares? This isn't about bliss. It's not about happiness. It is way beyond bliss. And when I say it's way beyond bliss, I don't mean it's extreme bliss. I'm not setting up any hope here. When I say it's way beyond bliss, I just mean this makes bliss irrelevant. There's a wonderful Western Tibetan monk called Mathieu Ricard, who goes around teaching people how to be happy. tested in laboratories in Seattle, where they have discovered that he is the happiest person on the planet from the brainwave patterns. Only when he's meditating, interestingly, only when he's meditating. And so he goes, he's a lovely guy, I've heard him being interviewed, a lovely guy. Goes, what lovely thing to do, teach people to be happy. It's irrelevant. This has nothing to do with happiness, and it is far beyond happiness. This is that in which it becomes apparent that happiness is irrelevant. Happiness is a state. Happiness is a feeling. Like every other state of feeling, it comes and goes. Bliss is a state. Jealousy is a state. Joy is a state. Anger is a state. They all come and go, and they're all irrelevant. Some of them are nicer states than others, of course. But chasing these states is like chasing our own tail. Because they come and go. There's no permanence in happiness any more than there's permanence in jealousy. There is no permanence. One of the most obvious facts about this is that everything is impermanent. Everything arises and it falls away again. Most things don't last more than a couple of seconds. Few things last a bit longer than that. But everything arises and falls away again. There's no permanence. And searching for some kind of permanent state, like personal enlightenment or bliss or something like that, is, but it's yet another game. It's yet another game. And when the person isn't there searching, it just